Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to MSI Tonight. Of course, I'm sitting by here with the three analysts that I've had with me all day, Frosper and Kobe and Jat. Just saw Team Liquid take down Fnatic to keep their knockout stage dreams alive. It got a little sketchy there in the mid-game. One big one fight from Fnatic, and things started to look like they might go off the rails, but ultimately they brought it back together and picked up the victory.
True. They did not let themselves get, split push across the map. There was no 1-3-1 from Fnatic. They also picked Cho'Gath and Malzahar, were able to secure the Barons.
No steals. Full control.
No steals.
Easy hill to climb, little trip. Then run to the finish.
What are you doing right now?
that was Jat running the gold graph just now.
Remember that hill climber game in Price is Right where that yodeling guy is going up? Like, he reached the summit eventually.
Oh,
12,200.
All right, but 5 Drakes picked up, as was mentioned by the casters. It actually was a very strong early game put together by Team Liquid to establish that lead so that they could make one mistake and still be in control of the game.
And all of that was really Onyx Smithy. I think he had a phenomenal game. I think he had a great read on what was going to happen, where he's going to attack the map, stacking up those early game dragons, getting involved with his laner. Yes, moving Pobelter onto a comfort champion like Malzahar certainly helped, but I give a lot of credit to TL's jungler right now.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of things. He was able to stop Broxah from being able to counter jungle him at all on Graves, which other Graves have had a lot of counter jungling. But the Jhin Tahm Kench, which had been abysmal earlier for Team Liquid, I think dominated that bottom lane. Every time I rechecked the minimap, one of the 2 Team Liquid bot laners was in base. So they had no pressure from the bottom lane. There was a QSS rush by the Karma in fear of Malzahar ganks, which meant there was also no pressure coming out of the mid lane, which just made every Drake free. And really, at that point, what is Fnatic to do? Try to scale until 40 minutes, which they did, but ultimately when you give up 5 Drakes and 2 Barons,
3 Ocean, 2 Infernal.
Right, and we did see the effectiveness of the ricochets from a Sivir if left totally unchecked in a team fight. But again, with control over those global objectives, forcing Fnatic to come into them over and over and over, Team Liquid finally found their fight and were able to close out the game.
But I'm tired of the Karma picks. Like, I understand I value Karma as a champion, but ultimately if you look at Fnatic versus TL and kind of like, again, this keyword that we keep using, identity, style, the individual team metas, if you will, it felt like TL hit it on the head. They knew exactly what they wanted, they knew exactly who they were, and they finally showcased it. Fnatic, they move away from Caps on a carry. Caps has been performing wonderfully this tournament. They put him on the supportive pick, and they put everything, it feels like, into the reckless basket, where your win condition is, what, 500 CS late game, and that's about it. Whereas they had a beautiful game earlier against Kingzone with Bwipo on Camille.
And speaking of Kingzone, again, if we go back to the theme at the beginning of the day, offense versus defense, and Prey talking about, the way to play right now is offense. That was all Team Liquid, very proactive. You talk about their winning bottom lane and they're pushing bottom lane, and you talked about their jungler. You combine those two, that's how you're able to get all these early objective control, and that's how they're able to push the tempo of this game and kind of control and dictate to Fnatic.
I mean, it was just yesterday we were talking about Team Liquid being one of the worst early game teams in the tournament, their forward percentage being abysmal. I have a feeling those stats might shift a little bit at the end of today. But with that win, Team Liquid, they stay in contention for a spot in the semifinals, with Fnatic now only 1 win ahead of them. Flash Wolves still have the top spot after going 0-2 today, followed by RNG and Kingzone, while EVOS have no chance of making it out of groups.
And everything is nuts right now. Everything is up in the air. I think Deficio said it on the cast, and we're just going to echo it here. The drama is so set for tomorrow to just be the defining feature for multiple teams across pretty much every facet of this tournament.
And even after that game, Fnatic, I still think they're going to have a good day tomorrow, and it is in their hands. So that's kind of what I'm looking at from today is RNG and Fnatic. To make the strong pushes.
Right, I think that's a very key point there. While TL's hopes are still alive, it is up to the teams above them. If they just win out, their destinies are in their own hands. They can just keep Team Liquid out of contention for a knockout spot.
Yeah, RNG is still having their sights on first, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of how dominant they were today.
A 2-0 day.
Yeah, and recency is all that matters in these tournaments, because it's only about winning the next games, especially once we get into the knockout stage. And even with Liquid's 2-0 today as well, like, I was so ready, Dash, to just be done with the stress. Kind of like Team
I don't think
Liquid.
it was almost nice.
It was almost nice to just accept that, yeah, any win is going to be better than only having one.
Right.
But now you can be disappointed
Eeyore
again.
over here is disappointed that we're still in the tournament.
How dare they continue to win?
I'll be so happy if they make it through, but I don't
should
want
have
to
just
believe
stayed in bed today.
It's just the Eeyore of the tournament. All right, well, as we close out the day for day 4 of group stage, rather, I want to pull up the predictions that you guys threw out at the top of the day. We had said, or we had, kind of keyed into the difficulty of RNG's
doing?
Guess is a genius.
And can I just say, exactly, Kobe did some serious work today.
Yeah, caught up +2 on the Prophet and on Jack.
To be fair, I've never once flip-flopped. When I lock in my predictions.
You flip-flop all the time.
No, when I lock
Worlds
my
last year, it was like every single game.
So,
when I lock my predictions,
hold on.
they're locked for the day.
Hold up. I think Jad and I may have realized something. I think that the score
Did Kobe go write those records down somewhere else? Because those aren't right.
I think it should be 15-9 across the board. And wait, no, and you're 14.
Yes.
You're 14-10.
And Frost and Kobe should be tied.
And they're 15-9.
Yeah, something like that.
Something, or you need to be.
You're still the last place.
16-8.
Put
a little pin in that one. We'll come back and check that later. But I think what I want to hit again is the idea that RNG had such a phenomenal day, and when we consider the race for the top spot as well as the consideration of teams being able to jockey for that last and final 4th spot, there's still so much to be decided, and these predictions kind of dictate to me how much harder it's going to be to predict tomorrow.
I mean, ultimately, it comes down to the tournament is close. They were clear favorites coming in, but with Kingzone slowing down, with Flash Wolves having the surprise, with Fnatic making its resurgence, and now RNG finally arriving to the tournament alongside Team Liquid, everything is up in the air. And it literally almost does come down to a coin flip because it's just execution in-game.
And not only are people going to focus on Uzi's play, and rightfully so, like, oh my God, finally, we're seeing Uzi absolutely pop off in these games, but RNG also showed how fearsome Karsa is and why they brought Karsa to this tournament. MLXG had a lot of games in the first round that were not so good for them, very much underperforming. And Karsa had a really strong game versus the Flash Wolves, who were, top-rated team here. So I think that RNG looking forward, not only is Uzi the huge threat that people expected him to be, but they also are showing some more versatility.
The predictions game is close. The tournament game is close. We asked you guys earlier for your MVP of the MSI group stage, so let's take a look at a couple of the responses. Before we get to the first one, I want to throw one out there for you guys. You let me know how you feel about this. I'm going to go with Kobe because he is carrying the crap out of the rest of the guests here on the analyst desk.
Let me tell you, I feel pretty good about it.
You feel pretty good about it?
You guys?
We got one vote for Kobe.
Can we bring Vedius back?
All right, but in all seriousness, first up, we got Lariscus saying Caps has been playing out of his mind for sure. The best player at MSI till now.
And when you asked us this question on the desk, I think the immediate response was Caps, and then it was just kind of a race to who could grab Caps first. I have to agree. I think we saw exactly why kind of in that last game. When you do remove some of this playmaking potential from Caps, Fnatic just don't look like the same team that they are in the standings. So let him have it. Let him play the side lanes, let him play the team fight, but let him play a carry where he can be aggressive and have impact in the game.
And it says a lot that we still have him as kind of our go-to, even after not the best performance overall today.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we received a tweet from Usama Ahmed, 2316. I like the numbers at the end. A lot of tweets, a lot of words. Who thinks that even though Caps has been playing well, Maple has the edge between the two. So another one of those mid laners we've been tracking all week.
Yeah, this is your answer. This is my answer when you asked me, and I think it's looking at the entire tournament thus far. They obviously had a bad day today, but Maple has given them so much influence over the map, specifically with his lane control, and also playing a wide variety of champions. I wanted to be able to continue this so Flash Wolves isn't just a flash in the pan with the 6-0 start and an 0-4 finish, but if he plays more like he did the first 3 days, Flash Wolves is an absolute contender in this tournament.
All right, and finally, I want to ask you guys, after today, if there's anyone that you think might be able to contest, let's say, the two of these guys at the end of MSI groups for an MVP title.
Yeah, we were kind of looking forward, based on Uzi's performance today. It sets him up, if he has really good performances tomorrow, to also kind of be in the mix.
I mean, yeah, we saw some pretty insane carry performances. Again, I just want to talk about the 2-0 day that RNG put together. getting behind to the degree that they did in the early game against Kingzone and ultimately wrestling it back off the back end of some smart jungling from MLXG, some composed jungling, and then some insane team fighting from Uzi.
Yeah, Uzi was 20-0-8 across the 2 games. But both games he got Kai'Sa. And Kai'Sa seemed to have been blocked a little bit by Flash Wolves when they picked the Kog'Maw into it, but by just pairing it with a ranged support, they very easily fixed that solve. So, as Frostgurn's been saying, do not give him Kai'Sa. He will win with it. He got it a bunch of times in the playoffs. He got pentakills. He's going to get another 20-0-8 KDA if he does it again. And it's because the rest of the team is able to play around it.
And it's not just the Kai'Sa that you need to be worried about. I have no doubt that teams will start banning that away from him. But if you ever let him grab hold of the Ezreal, grab hold of the Kog'Maw, and now also bringing his Xayah again to an international stage, Uzi has been just an absolute threat and a pleasure to watch, frankly, in all these champions.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to put a capper on day 4 of MSI. It's time now to turn our attention to our final day of the MSI group stage. So let's take a look at what we got in store. First up, Fnatic and Kingzone take to the stage, followed by EVOS versus RNG. After that, the top team Flash Wolves face off against Team Liquid before we get our last 3 games of the MSI group stage.
Yeah, so much on the line, as we've talked about before. The Flash Wolves trying to hold on to that first seed, because remember, the #1 seed gets to choose who they play in the semifinals between the 3rd and the 4th seed. That last game of the day, if Team Liquid manages to beat the Flash Wolves and say Fnatic actually does lose to Kingzone, boy, wouldn't that be something, needing to beat RNG again to make it out of the group stage?
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's talk about it. Obviously, there is the possibility that things get deflated midway through the day, but based on the way the tournament's been shaking out so far, I think it's highly likely that we have some... Even if we're not looking at a tie for 4th, we're looking at ties for seeding between the 4 in the knockout stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for that to happen, because especially Flash Wolves versus Kingzone, that rematch could very well determine the #1 seed.
I'm also really curious to see how much longer Cuz sticks around versus someone like Peanut. I was very curious if this was like a mental reset, or if maybe they just want to get Cuz some time, so as we move it closer into the best of 5s, that he's warmed up, that the team is ready for him. So really want to keep my eyes peeled on that jungle sub.
Yeah, it was actually a very illuminating interview that we had with BDD after the game, and he talked about the junglers are pretty similar in skill, but when Peanut is in, he's the one making a lot of the early game calls and dictating a lot. But BDD is the one kind of dictating to Cuz. So maybe they want to actually put more emphasis on BDD and Cuz working together and have that mid-jungle synergy and use that to dictate more of the early game, because the early game is so important to Kingzone. We've seen over and over, if they do not have a successful early game, they've racked up 3 losses here, and we're not even done with the group stages. People were predicting, even before this, they were going to have 2 or less losses for the entire set.
And we say, like, if things go to expectation, and and Fnatic loses to Kingzone, and then they're going to be tied with. Well, what if Kingzone loses to Fnatic, like happened 2 days ago, and also loses to Flash Wolves, like they already have?
Yep.
They would be 5-5. We're so used to the dominant Korean team.
Benefit of the doubt.
We give a lot of credit.
Benefit of the doubt. Learning as the tournament progresses, and then smashing. The worst group stage we've seen from a Korean team at MSI was SKT at 6-4. But this team has much less international experience than SKT in bouncing back from early deficits in a short amount of time.
Last thing I want to talk about is, while we talk about the 2-0 from RNG and how it positions them to contest for first, we haven't talked so much about Flash Wolves and attempting to hold on to that first seed. They had the 0-2 today. They're scheduled tomorrow against Team Liquid, who seem to be maybe turning things around, although still very much an uphill battle. And then, of course, closing it out against the LCK representatives.
It almost feels like confidence has just been kind of breathed into the other teams. I think the Flash Wolves said, we play aggressive, the momentum is behind us, and they're happy to do so. But now it's not so much that the Flash Wolves have been figured out, but other teams are just kind of stepping up and going, tit for tat against them. Say, okay, let's try to put priority into our bot lane. Let's put priority into the top lane and just breaking them that way, rather than trying to copy them or go more defensive. It's going on that offensive with Flash Wolves and kind of forcing them into smaller plays where it comes down to things like the Baron setup versus then just getting blasted in the first 15 minutes.
Exactly. The stats were so clear from the 6-0 Flash Wolves start. They had the highest jungle proximity. They had first turret in every single game, but that was no longer the case here. teams started to take it to them much earlier.
All right, well, there are still so many possibilities ahead of us with only 1 day left of games to play, but that's going to do it here on day 4 of MSI Groups. So for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you for tomorrow and more MSI 2018. Good night.
Might be in some danger here. Dodges away from the ultimate very, very well. Dodges from the L play. Uzi with the killing spree as Gorilla looks to run away, leaving Prey for dead. Letme goes on a rampage, and MLXG will finish this one off.
RNG with a fantastic comeback.
But the Mystic shot will not find the kill just yet. Maple going to be taken low and down. Caps gets that one.
That was sick from Whippo.
Ole kept safe. Stand United comes in. Team Liquid now forced to make this fight happen. Yijin already dead. Slay going to be forced to flash out. Pobelter looking for damage. A double kill for Double Lip. Want to try to shut him down. Baron down to about 1K. Where's it going to go? They got it for Fnatic. We'll see if he can pull it off here again. Look at oh man! Jin has now found himself isolated. Impact!
To fight for this despite Baron buff and the gold lead still being on Capsbox forwards. Hillsong is on the back line. A huge knock of Fnatic. Get the kill on Pobelter. Now Impact has Kite back. Still 2,000 health left on him. Reckless forced to flash away. He can no longer fight. A huge ulti from Hillsong, but it's not enough damage when Liquid stays alive. Now Uzi's going to join the fray. Knockup means he can ult to follow as well. And Letme gets the kill.
Nailed it that time.
Yeah! The third for Uzi. The knockup is there. The chop. He's not going to get it because of Cho'Gath, but it is a quadra kill for Uzi. That gives that one away. Cuts re-engages. Ignite is on. That's going to be only the passive. No, he does actually die. He's not winning in farm, but he's getting a lot of turret damage. Oh, and the Ignite is in! He's got the solo kill. BDD.
Change and adapt for the best of 5. They still need to show us this time around.
Oh, Slay gets in. Cuz does and pulls in 2. That's a couple of quick ones, and convincing mid-game will close this one out. Congratulations to Kingzone.